as soon as I was inaugurated as president. And so we needed to focus and not be distracted and actually get down to work. And so for me, the number one priority was the energy sector, to try and get over the energy crisis, because energy has a direct correlation to the acceleration of the economy. And if businesses are not getting access to power, then it will slow down the economy. And we can see the effects. We've got the outturn for the first half of the year, and the GDP growth rate was 6.7%. Normally it should be above 7%. We're hoping that with the stabilization of the energy sector in the second half of the year, we'll see a pickup of the economy so that we can still hit hopefully about 7.5% in respect of GDP growth. We have set ourselves the target to grow at least 8% averagely per year. And so if we're able to do that, we believe that Ghana can progress into middle income status in the next 8 years, hopefully. And so that is our target. And so naturally, I had to concentrate on the energy sector, and I'm pleased to report that the energy sector has stabilized. We put pressure on the West African Gas Company to effect the repairs of the pipeline as quickly as possible. I had to make 3 separate trips to Nigeria to speak to President Jonathan to get his influence to bear on them to speed up the repair work. And happily, that repair has been done, and currently gas is flowing again to Ghana. Ghana has, and I believe Ghana will be a net exporter of power within the next 4 years. We're currently producing 2,500 megawatts, and I have promised, as part of my electoral manifesto, that by 2016 we'll be producing 5,000 megawatts of power. We would have doubled our power generation. We will use what Ghana needs, and then any excess power we can export and earn foreign currency from other countries. We're also overhauling the transport sector. 95% of our transport of goods and services is by the road sector, and that is unacceptable. Our railways were constructed in the colonial time, and they have been left to rot. In some cases, the rails were even uprooted and sold as scrap metal. And so we have come with a program to revamp the rail sector. There's some cargo that are not suitable for transporting by road. You must transport them by rail. And rail adds to the GDP of any country. And so we're starting with the Western Railway line. As I talk, we're going through the procurement to choose the contractor to do the Western Railway line. And the Western Railway line will run from Takoradi through Awaso, the bauxite and manganese producing areas, all the way to Kumasi. And we would use that to bring bauxite and manganese down to the port in Takoradi. For those of you who come from Western Region, we did that nice road, and they started bringing bauxite and manganese down that road. Today, if you go and see the road is finished, completely destroyed. And so once we put in the railway, we will not allow them to use the road for heavy cargo. We can bring cocoa beans and all those things by rail instead of by road. We're not only going to do the Western Railway line, we're also putting up the Eastern Railway line, to invite interested organizations, interested private sector operators to partner with us to do Eastern Rail Line. The Eastern Rail Line is going to go from Accra through Nsawam, through Koforidua to Buankra, and then through Ejiso to Kumasi. And so that would also carry cargo. And so if, for instance, you live in Kumasi, it will be possible when we do the Eastern Railway Line. If you live in Kumasi, if you are consigning your cargo home, you would do it Buankra via Tema. And so when you get home, when your cargo gets to Tema, it will be put on the railway and it will be removed at Buankra. So when you get home, you drive straight to Kumasi and go and take your cargo, and then you'll be done. So that is also on track. The way we can transit properly into middle income and create decent jobs and a decent life for our people is to diversify our economy. For too long, our economy has relied on only a small band of exports. That is cocoa and then gold. Those are our two leading exports. Timber used to be very significant, but we've cut all the forests, and so our timber exports have dwindled, and so we're safeguarding the rest of the forest. We also have non-traditional goods, which have done very well in recent years. I think we're exporting almost $1 billion worth of non-traditional goods. I don't know if we are there yet.
We are above that.
Oh, we're above that. Okay, more than $1 billion of non-traditional goods.
That's about 2.6.
Okay.
And the target is 5.
Fantastic. So non-traditional exports are part of what we're doing. Cocoa and gold, those are traditional. Recently, we have also got oil coming into the stream. Oil is still quite low, but it is growing in significance gradually. But to avoid the Dutch disease, we need to make sure that we diversify the economy. It won't do for us to continue to rely only on primary product exports. And so our vision going forward is to diversify the economy and let the economy stand on more pillars than just primary product exports. And so in that regard, we're looking to do new growth poles. And these growth poles include Tema. In Tema, we want to revamp Tema Oil Refinery so that it begins to refine petroleum products for the economy. We are going to revamp Valco so that it can produce aluminium. Valco working can bring about $600 million into the economy every year. We have taken back the Tema shipyard from the Malaysians, and we're soon going to put it back. We're going to put it back in service. It is the biggest shipyard in West Africa. And today, if anybody wants to service a ship, they take the ships to Durban in South Africa, or they take them to Europe or to Singapore for servicing. And so we're going to revamp the shipyard so that all the vessels operating in West Africa, if they need dry docking, can use the Tema shipyard and dry dock. And so we believe that resuscitating these industries in Tema will give Tema back its vibrancy. For those of you who lived in Tema in the 70s and the 80s, you remember how Tema used to be. It used to be swingier than Accra. And so some of us who were young at the time used to drive to Tema to go and chill out, you know. And there's a lot of money in Tema. You see all these workers, either they work in Tema Food Complex, you remember Tema Food Complex, or they work at the dry dock, or they work at Gapoha, or they work at the refinery, or they work at Valco. You know, all those industries made Tema vibrant, you know, and very financially alive. And so in the daytime, they'll be in their overalls. In the nighttime, if you see them in their jeans and shirts and things, enjoying themselves, you realize that, yeah, you know, Tema was something. So we want to let Tema recapture its glory days. And so we've come out with a vision to revive Tema as an industrial city in Ghana. We also are planning the Western region to be the energy and oil industrial hub of Ghana. And so there's going to be an industrial park, a free zones park, that will be serviced so that any oil and gas businesses that want to set up would have land that has water, power, and everything, you know, there already. And all they have to do is to set up the installation. There's a fertilizer factory coming up that will process the gas into fertilizer for local consumption. And we're also working on the Ghana gas processing plant to process the gas from the Jubilee field. That work is advancing, and we hope that by the end of the first quarter of next year, we should be able to start producing our own gas. So working together with the United States of America, we are implementing a second Millennium Challenge Compact. And recently, if you heard, President Obama announced the Powering Africa initiative. And so, working together with America and other partners, we are establishing what we call a power park. This is going to be a park where all people who want to establish electricity, who want to put up electricity plants to generate electricity, either for domestic consumption or export, will be able to set up their thermal plants. Already we have an enclave there, which is the Aboise plants, and we have about 4 thermal plants in the Aboise enclave. There's going to be another enclave, a power park, in a place called Domuli, and more thermal plants will be set up there to produce energy both for Ghana's consumption and for export. Agriculture is still the backbone of our country, and without food security, you cannot advance as a people. And so we're putting a lot of investment in agriculture. At least for the staples that our people eat, we're able to produce enough. Rice production has increased. We used to produce 10% of what we consume. Today we're producing almost 50% of our total consumption of rice. We're producing excess maize. Last year we had a surplus of maize of 200,000 metric tons. And so for the first time, we had to give export licenses to some companies to export maize out of Ghana in order not to depress the price. And so that is doing fine. We are implementing a new agricultural program which is going to encourage both small, medium, and large-scale commercial farming. In the past, our focus has been on small peasant holders, but we believe that we can have a mix of all of them. And so while supporting the small peasant holders, also support the medium and large-scale farmers to come into the system and produce enough food, both for domestic consumption and for export. And so that is happening. The agricultural sector is growing at a satisfactory pace. We're expanding the ports so that it is easier for ships to come in and turn around. If you take off out of Kotoka and you look out of if you are sitting on the left side of the aisle and you look out of the window, you see the ships queuing to come into Tema Port. It takes, the turnaround time for ships in our port, I think, is about 12 days, which is unacceptable, 12 days or more. We need to be able to make them turn around quicker. So I have directed the Minister of Trade, the Minister of Transport, the Minister of Finance, and the Ghana Ports Harbours Authority and the Customs to work together and give me a plan before the end of this year to see how we can turn Tema Port into a 24-hour operation so that it works 24 hours. So that it works 24 hours. There's no reason why a port should sleep. I mean, put on the lights and let's keep offloading the ships and let the customs be working and clearing people's goods 24 hours a day. And so I'm waiting for their report on how we can implement it. And I assure you, when I get the report, we shall begin the implementation. The most important thing for us in Africa today is jobs, jobs, jobs. And actually not Africa, all over the world, even here in the US, I'm sure jobs, jobs, jobs are the problem. You say jobs, 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 jobs. And so for us that is my most important assignment as president. We have young people coming out of school every year from all levels. A lot of the time they come out and they don't have skills to enter the world of work. You can come out of school, but you might not have the skills that the job market is looking for. And so what we're doing is to put in place mechanisms for retraining these graduates and giving them the skills so that they can enter the world of work. We pride ourselves too much on university education and degrees, but if you go to countries like Germany and other places, even in the US, what moves the economy is the middle-level technical manpower. That is what moves the economy. Unfortunately, for us, the institutions that produce that middle-level manpower, we look down upon.